Hello everybody, it's Sarah and today I'm here again with another tag. I've been doing a lot of tags in the past few weeks for some reason, but I do quite enjoy that. But anyway, this is my mid-year freakout tag or mid-year book freakout tag. I'm not sure which of those it is, but I'm just gonna talk about the books that I've read so far this year and the books that I still intend on reading the rest of the year and so on. And the first question, of course, is my favorite books that I've read so far this year. And I'm just gonna have 3 quick answers for that question because I in fact only had 3 5-stars so far this year, so I feel like I can talk about all of them. And the first of those is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a retelling of the Iliad or of part of the Iliad, and we follow Patroclus and Achilles' relationship. And it's beautiful and it's sad and I love it so much, and Patroclus is my baby. So good. I can highly recommend it. Madeline Miller's writing is so beautiful. She just has a way with words as few other authors I have read, and I could just go and pick this up, especially if you want to cry. But you're gonna see this book later again in other questions, so I won't talk too much about it. My second 5-star read so far this year was The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, and this is a translated work from Japanese, and it is set on this island. It's literary fiction that is set on this island where things just disappear. And when things disappear, the people on this island won't remember those things as well. But there's some people who still keep on remembering. So one day this organization appears, the Memory Police, that's like in charge of making sure that the things that disappear stay disappeared. And when our main character, who's a young author, finds out that her editor is in fact someone who can remember, she tries to help keep him away from the Memory Police. And I actually have a whole review on this book, so I won't talk too much about it, aside from the fact that I absolutely love the writing and I love just Japanese storytelling in general. And I just will link the review down below and up there as well. By the way, I also have a review for The Song of Achilles, so you can go and check that out as well. And then the third 5-star read is actually just a recent addition to my 5-star club, and that is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackey. This is a children's book, but also not really. I actually only talked about it in my last video, which was my mid-month wrap-up for June. And it's just this, I think it would be most accurately described as a picture book with those kind of inspirational quotes that I think inspirational quotes kind of does it a disservice as well, because then we think of those like, I don't know, Instagram quotes or whatever. But it's just full of these quotes that are incredibly deep and that are incredibly complex personal issues broken down to a quote. And I resonated so much with this book and it made me cry, and I absolutely love it. So I think you should all go and pick up a copy of this book because it's beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. Next question is the best sequel I have read so far this year, and I wouldn't say I have that many like sequels that come to my mind. So the one that I picked is The Secret Chapter by Genevieve Cogman, which is the 6th book and so far the latest that is out in the Invisible Library series. And I just love this book. First of all, the Invisible Library series is set in a world where you have like multiple alternate universes of our world, and each of the universes has its own alternate history storyline. And then you have the Invisible Library and librarians who go to these different worlds and they steal books for the Invisible Library from those different worlds. And The Secret Chapter is set in an alternate history world in an alternate Vienna. And I am from Vienna. I just love it when books are set in Vienna. It makes me so happy. I don't even care about the inaccuracies about the story. But yeah, this is definitely so far my favorite sequel and my highest rated sequel that I have read this year. And I also have an entire review on the Invisible Library as a whole series, so I will leave that linked down below and up there as well. Next is a new release I haven't read yet, and I have a bunch of those because I decided to just start waiting for new releases to come out in paperback before I buy them, because otherwise it's gonna be too expensive. But one of them is Heart of Flames by Nikki Pau Preto, which is the sequel to Crown of Feathers. And this is like my main goal to get once it's out in paperback, because I of course this year decided to kind of cut down or finish a few series, catch up with a few series that I have started, and as such it's really important for me to just get the new releases in series that I have started like read as soon as possible. Then I also really finally want to read The Wolf of Oren-Yaro by K.S. Veloso, which just sounds like an amazing story and I need to get to it. And also Witches of Ash and Ruin, because bisexual witches in Ireland, and I need that book. But it's also only out in hardcover so far. And a lot of times I can get the paperback like quite a bit earlier in Austria, because we don't get the hardcovers that often, but not in those cases, sadly, and so I have to wait. Then my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. The first of those is The Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, which includes trans rap and voodoo in New Orleans, I think, and it just sounds so intriguing and I really need it, and it was supposed to come out in June and I was supposed to have it in my hands, but now it's pushed back until September. Actually, quite a few books have been pushed back this year, and my guess it's COVID. It's the first year that I really keep up with new releases, so I don't know how usual it is that there's so many new releases like that were pushed back, but my guess is still it's COVID. Then I have Nightshine by Tessa Gretton, which is supposedly a house moving castle but queer, and oh my god, I am so excited for this book. First of all, Tessa Gretton has turned into one of my favorite authors with the latest book that I have read of her. I haven't read any YA of hers yet, so I'm kind of a little bit hesitant. But it's still, House Moving Castle also is my favorite movie of all time, so I just cannot imagine me not loving that book. And then the third release, of course, is Rhythm of War, which is book 4 in the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. And that's enough said. There's nothing else I need to say about it other than that I'm really excited for that release. Then next question is, what was my biggest disappointment so far this year? And again, I have 3 answers. The first of those is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. I DNF'd this book. I was really excited for it. It's supposedly a retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo, but let me just tell you, the epic revenge story is nowhere to be found. And it's one of those books where I cannot actively say what's bad about it, but it's just so incredibly boring, and the main characters or the side characters and everyone is just so incredibly dull, and it's just, I really, really didn't like it. It's not even that I didn't like it, it's just such a non-feeling book. And I was so excited for it, so I'm really disappointed that it ended up being like that. Another release that I was really excited for, because it's a sapphic book that includes a princess who has to take over the throne from her brother because her whole family has been cursed, and then has to marry the warrior bride of her brother, is The Winter Duke by Claire Eliza Bartlett. I have never read a more annoying and stupid main character. She was simply stupid, she was annoying, she had absolutely nothing going for her, and she was whiny as fuck. And oh my god, I gave this 2 stars, and I think actually thinking on it, 2 stars was too much. And the only reason I still keep it is so I can rant about it in videos. Simply said. And also I'm waiting for my next unhaul to finally get rid of this copy. And then my last disappointment is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Camera. This is book 2 in the Cursebreaker series, the first one being A Curse So Dark and Lonely. And while A Curse So Dark and Lonely isn't like the best book of all time, it's just a really solid YA romance, fantasy romance, and it just was fun to read and easy to read. However, Heart So Fierce and Broken relies completely on all characters acting the exact opposite of what the characters that were set up in book 1 would act like, and I just thought it was a horrible sequel. It wasn't a bad book, but it was a horrible, horrible sequel, and that's why I was so disappointed by it. Next, my biggest surprise so far this year, and I feel like I have to come full circle from my biggest disappointment, and so I had to talk about The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I thought that this would be a classic that I would like, but considering how long it is, I would have thought that it would take me a lot longer and a lot more to get through it. However, I just really flew through this book for a 1,000-page book, for a 1,000-page classic. It took me only a month to read, and I just absolutely loved it. I did not expect that I would love this book so much, but I really did. Then I have favorite new author, and I'm not really sure if I have any like really solid favorite new author, because I mainly just read one book by most authors so far this year, and I don't think one book most of the time is enough to say whether or not an author is gonna be a new favorite. But one of the authors that I have is definitely Yoko Ogawa. I do want to pick up some of her other works and see whether or not she might become a new favorite author. And then also with Lady Hotspur, Tressa Gretton, definitely like got a list on my I'm gonna check out her books if she ever comes out with new ones, especially her adult fantasy. I did not enjoy Lady Hotspur as much as Queens of Innisfree, which I read last year, but I still really loved it. And I want to still check out her YA books before I decide yes or no. But in any case, definitely as far as her adult fantasy series go, she is one of my new auto checkout authors, kind of. I'm not really sure if she's an auto buy yet, but yeah, she's definitely on that list and definitely on the way up. Then we have newest fictional crush, and I don't really get any fictional crushes anymore. But I guess a character that I could talk about is Anna Lightwood from the Last Hour series. Even though she's not even like a main side character, but just a side character, but she's just amazing. And she's just, she's so good. She's so good. She's just this suave womanizer woman, and I love her so far, what we got to see from her. So, newest favorite character. I also don't really have that many characters where I'm like, yeah, they're definitely new, solid favorite characters, but Patroclus definitely got to be on this list. I said I would talk about this book again. He's such a sweet, precious being that I want to protect forever. And he loves Achilles so much, and he's just like, oh, my heart breaks for him. And I'm also gonna keep this book up because the next question is which book made me cry the most, and that is definitely The Song of Achilles. I was sobbing in the past few chapters. Sobbing. I mean, I won't say anything, but if you have any idea of what the Iliad is about, you will know how this book ends, because it's pretty much a direct retelling, and it's just so heartbreaking. And my heart, my poor little heart, my poor little babies, I love them. Next question is a book that made me happy, and for that I have a reread that I actually haven't finished yet quite, and that is Inkheart by Cornelia Funke. I just love this reread so much. This is the book that made me fall in love with reading, and I appreciate it so much. For those of you who do not know what Inkheart is about, it's about this girl, and one day there's a stranger in front of her house, and she finds out that her father has the ability to read characters out of books. And that's what happened to him a few years back, and now it's come back to haunt him, kind of. And it's just this love letter to books and this love letter to reading. And it's beautiful, and I love it. The most beautiful book I bought so far this year, or I got so far this year, and I have to say I haven't gotten that many beautiful books yet this year, but definitely on this list is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, just because of the illustrations inside it are beautiful. Also The Count of Monte Cristo, just because I love the Word Cloud Classics editions. I find them really beautiful. I just love simplicity a lot of the times. And then also, I don't know if it counts because technically I bought them last year and only got them this year, but like Nevernight and God's Grave, the hardcover editions. I did have God's Grave already, but I could only buy both of them because they didn't sell them as singles, so I just made myself a little Christmas present last year. But I just love the hardcover UK editions of the Nevernight Chronicles, and I think they're so beautiful, and they're some of the most beautiful covers ever. So I got them this year, so I guess it counts. And then the last question is, what books do I still need to read this year? And I have two main series that I really want to finish this year, or get as far as possible into the series. The first one is I want to finish the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. I did start the series this year. I'm 3 books in, and I think that means I have 5 or 6 books left. I don't know if there's 8 or 9 books in the series, but yeah, I'm going to try. I just hit myself with the book, but I'm going to try and finish the series this year. And the other one is to get as far as possible into the Wheel of Time series. I'm currently at book 6, so I think I should be able to get at least to book 12 by the end of the year if I read 1 book per month still. But maybe I'll even finish the series, who knows? But yeah, definitely need to continue on with the series and just trudge through it. And then the last one is a book that I promised myself at the beginning of the year that I'd read this year, but I haven't really so far. I've only gotten 15 pages in so far, and that is Le Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. This is like the most well-known, the main one of the written down Arthurian legends of the stories of the Knights of the Round Table. And it looks big, but it's actually just 800 pages long, but it's still really intimidating. But yeah, gotta finish it. And that was it for this video. If you enjoyed it, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. Tell me in the comments down below what your favorite books were so far this year and what your thoughts were on any of the books that I talked about if you have read them. In the description box down below, I have all the links to my social media. I also still have the links concerning Black Lives Matter, so go and check those out as well. And I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!